And again, the Whipper and this time Loving Along are keen to get going. Starter calls them back. Lining up. And they're off. As they go on down towards the first, it's going to be Loving Along on the Whipper up sides. As they make their way on towards fence number 1. Loving Along on the inside of the Whipper, being followed back in third by Friends at Last, and fourth just behind this group goes West Leader, and then a slight break to Avram Ladd and Gertmore Muse. Levelander dropped in the early stages. Nothing to choose between the front pair. Mistake by West Leader over the first. Avram Ladd just a little untidy, but on their way now towards fence number 2. Loving Along on the inside of the Whipper. Nothing to choose in jumping as West Leader jumps at third, and in fourth Friends at Last. All safely over fence number 2. So as they race around the bottom turn, Loving Along and Claire McMahon on the inside of the Whipper and Liz Doyle. Both of these heading to Tremor later this afternoon, and they're not going to delay in Ballon by the looks of things as they race across the bottom turn. Loving Along the Whipper, Friends at Last and West Leader, then a good break to Avram Ladd. Break then back to Gertmore Muse. Levelander is the back marker in the early stages as they begin to swing in for the first time. Making their way on now towards fence number 3, and as they do so, it's Loving Along, running for the third consecutive week, never been out of the 3. Being followed, and Loving Along is on shipped its rider at that one. Took a chance and is down. And that now leaves the Whipper out in front. From in second, West Leader on the outside of Friends at Last, but it's the Whipper. Jumps it well from West Leader, Friends at Last. Avram Ladd just took a chance and pecked at the back of that one. So as they come on up to pass the judge, in front is the Whipper, with West Leader just taking a pull on the outside. They're being followed in third by Friends at Last. Next up behind these on the outside is Gertmore Muse, Avram Ladd on the inside. Both of these returning from an absence, and they're being followed just behind by Levelander. So grouping up a little now since the departure of Loving Along, and in front is the Whipper, out jumped at that one by West Leader under Caroline Moody, who rode her first winner from her first ride yesterday at Torella, bidding to make it 2 from 2. But in front is the Whipper from in second spot, West Leader. Friends at Last is third, and then a break to Avram Ladd, who's being followed on the outside by Gertmore Muse, and the back marker is Levelander. So they're going to race on now towards the fence that was the first on the last circuit. Fence number 6, the Whipper over in front from West Leader. Friends at Last, Avram Ladd, Gertmore Muse and Levelander. Racing on now towards the next. Second of 2 along the back straight, and it's the Whipper in front from West Leader. Friends at Last, Avram Ladd, being followed on the inside by Levelander, with Avram Ladd towards the back also. Gertmore Muse, in fact, towards the back as they make their way on now towards the bottom turn. That's going to bring them along towards the straight, with 7 fences left to be opener. The Beauties Ladies open lightweight. The Whipper out clear. Friends at Last, West Leader, being followed in third on the inside by Levelander. Gertmore Muse last but 1, and Avram Ladd is the back marker. Making their way on now towards 7 for the finish. The Whipper out clear from the cheek pieces of Friends at Last, who in turn is in front of jumping it in third. Looks as though West Leader just shades that spot, with Avram Ladd up on the outside, Levelander the inside, and reminders for Gertmore Muse at the back of the field. On the way now towards the next, out front, the Whipper jumps in front of Friends at Last. Avram Ladd, West Leader, slight chance, and then comes Levelander. Back marker Gertmore Muse as they make their way on up the straight to pass the judge's trailer and head out in their final circuit. 5 fences left to be jumped, and the Whipper, but up there throughout, being followed by the Tinahely winner. Friends at Last, Maria Dag, back in third spot is Avram Ladd. Towards the inside 4 is Levelander, and towards the back of the field are both Gertmore Muse and West Leader. 5 from the finish, and the Whipper steadied into it, jumps it in front of Friends at Last, who's not too far off this leader. They're being followed in third by Avram Ladd, who took a chance. Back and forth Levelander, just the 4 still going now, because pulled up are both West Leader and Gertmore Muse. So they've got a race on at the country now for the final time, and it's the Whipper out in front as they make their way towards the fence, which is 4 from the finish. Friends at Last still trying to close the gap and not going too far away from that 5-length break, and they're well clear from Levelander, who in turn is in front of Avram Lad. So the quartet making their way on down the back straight, being headed by the Whipper. Friends at Last is second, and they're clear at this one. The Whipper, Friends at Last still within that 5 lengths or so. Not going to be shaken off too easily as Liz Doyle gets to work and gives a couple of reminders to the Whipper to keep up to his job. Being followed in second spot by Friends at Last, and they're a long way in front of Levelander and Avram Lad, who look as though they're going to fight out the minor placings. Rounding the bottom turn now, and it's the Whipper, but Friends at Last in second spot. Both riders at work within a couple of lengths of each other. They're being followed a long way behind by Levelander and Avram Lad. So they begin to swing in. They've 2 to jump in the Ladies Open, and in front is the Whipper, but Friends at Last switches out to the outside now. Maria Dag, the Whipper the inside, and Liz Doyle coming to the second last. The Whipper over in front, still has the advantage by a few lengths. Friends at Last just can't seem to close that gap as they make their way on towards the final fence. The Whipper with Friends at Last back in second. They're a long way in front of Avram Lad, who jumps at third. Levelander for final fence coming up for the Whipper, who jumps in front of Friends at Last, who still can't close that gap, not getting any bigger but not getting into that gap that the Whipper has opened up. And as they make their way up towards the line in the opening race, the Bewley's Ladies race, it's going to be the Whipper stretching clear under Liz Doyle. Back in second is Friends at Last, who's still trying to battle back, but the Whipper looks as though he's going to hold out up towards the line, workmanlike at the death. The Whipper is going to take the opener. Back in second will be Friends at Last, and they're going to be followed in 3 by Avram Lad, and 4th will be Levelander.